Welcome back to Roadside Rescue. I'm back at one of my oldest customers' places, and they've just had a ton of interesting things happen with their cars since I've known them. Well, their van won't start today. Let's go ahead and diagnose that. But you'll notice in the background there's an old Dodge. Guy bought that pretty recently. I think I might have made a video on it. I don't know if I had time to edit it. I don't know if I did much with it, but it's because I thought I could get it running, and I got it running better. Then he drove it around for a couple of days, and it started to run worse. He started to tear it apart, and it had bent push rods. So something happened while it was running for a day or two, and ruined the motor. It's sitting in the background. If the valve cover's off, maybe we'll look at those bent push rods. But he got that old truck because he used to have an old Dodge. And the old Dodge I have and his old Dodge, they were buddies. That's how I met both of them. Well, that old Dodge he got rid of because his wife was pouring oil in the radiator into the coolant, and he thought it had a head gasket leak. Well, he had already bought a replacement and sold that Dodge. Then his replacement truck, which was a 2008 Chevy or something, died earlier this year. That's when he bought this other Dodge that died right after he drove it for 2 days. This bad boy, looks like it's leaning. Look how much that's leaning over. Wonder why. Is that something going on with the suspension over here? Goodness, why is this bottomed out? Is it heavy? Is there a boulder in the back? No. No boulder. That's weird. What does it have? Air suspension? Mercedes, maybe? Alright. This the one? Won't start? Looks like. I believe they said they swapped the starter relay and that didn't do anything so far. I believe they said they swapped the starter relay and that didn't do anything so far, so let's find out. It's got to be air ride for some reason. It probably just has a leak. Yeah, there's been one right there. Yo! That's all you need to see, I guess. Isn't that crazy? I don't know if I replaced the spark plugs and wires. I think I did. It was running good for a day. It ran good. 2 days. Started running worse, and then it stopped running. Yo, why is it leaning? That's crazy. Was it towed? They just got the tow hook on it. Oh, I was gonna pop the hood. Let's see. Mercedes spins. Gross. Ew. Hey, look at the room in front of this motor. That's crazy. You can pull that pulley out, or you could replace anything on the front of that motor. That's kind of nice. Problem is if you had to replace anything on top of the motor. Tell me if you got any customers that do this. Huh? Nice. Starter relay. Same as starter relay. Let's test this for power. Well, I'm still waiting for that scan tool to finish loading. I was gonna say, I've been carrying this jump box around for a few days. I was hoping I'd get to use it. I don't think I will on this job. The battery looks fine. I don't think it's a battery issue. But I know I'm gonna be able to use it later on this next job I'm about to go to. I'm replacing the battery. So I'll have the battery out. I'm just gonna go ahead and test this. So let me show it to you real quick. This thing is massive. This is the AVAPOW A68. And this thing puts out 6,000 amps. This is by far the biggest one I've ever got. And when I get a new scan tool or a new jump starter, I like to just use it in a video and show everybody, so I'll have a link in the description since they sent this to me. So big it's got its own handle. It's huge. That battery will come in nice too, and these always double as power banks, so I take these camping a lot to charge my phones and stuff overnight. Alright, I'm gonna charge this up and I'll show it to you on the next job. Bruh, A lot of communications codes. Code for not understanding the key is in there. Internal switch, ignition lock, communications errors. I don't think it's the starter. I was hoping it was. Let's do the one last test on that. Okay, now it's time to grab lunch and go work on that Thunderbird. Auto parts store's on the way. I've got to return some cores. Headed that way. It'll probably be an hour by the time I start working on that. I'm gonna grab lunch and stuff too. Yo! They gave me the half cheeseburger. I get a half cheeseburger for lunch. Good thing I got an extra spicy chicken. All right, I made it here to this old Thunderbird. I've got to replace the battery. The alternator was low, but the battery's like a tractor battery. So the guy was like, hey, let's just replace that and the belt for that. So I just got here. I'll see if I can film some of it. All right, here's another one of their vehicles. Also the new Ford electric Lariat. Looks nice. I haven't seen it too much though. This one I diagnosed a couple weeks ago. Had a transmission fluid leak. I think maybe they thought it was coolant or just oil. They had just got the radiator replaced and I guess water pump and stuff too. And I went and checked it out. I don't remember if I put it in a video, but it was leaking down on the bottom of these radiators while the dealership actually had just broke those fittings and had to replace the radiator. Here's what I'm worried about. Why is there two different color gaskets right here on this plate? Doesn't look very clean. Looks like they just slopped it back together. Water pump probably over here. That's new. But now we've got knock codes and timing phaser codes. That's the timing. Yeah, I thought that was time something bank one. That is what that is. Intermittent. So I would expect that to say circuit though. We've got the knock sensor circuit too. Let's start this up and see if we feel a misfire or anything or any knocks. But coupled with that timing code, sounds like a mess to me. I probably won't dig into that one further. Erase them and see if they come back for now. Sounds good. 140,000 miles. All right, now back to the Thunderbird. Guy has some old classic cars. But he's thinking about picking one up in Oregon. I might have to help him out with, we'll see. I just got this battery fitted into place. I'm gonna go ahead and cut those wires and replace these cracked old, busted old terminals. Like, just cracked all the way through. They're not gonna tighten up much. The wire is pretty long. I was thinking about replacing that, but it's just dry rotted up near the front. There's not much corrosion, so I'm just gonna replace the terminals. Then I've got to do the alternator. Might have been easier to do that first. Let's test out this jump box and go ahead and adjust the cold idle, which I didn't get done last time I put the carb on because it warmed up real fast like they do. Usually takes 2-3 tries. This is the second try, so I can start it up real quick while it's cold. And then maybe by the time I'm done, if I need to do it again, I can do one more adjustment. But the cold idle is just a little high. All right, let's check this idle time to put this 6,000 ampere to the test, boy. It's a big motor. And I haven't hooked up the battery yet. Alright, gotta find the key. It's fine. Yeah, that worked great. So if you want an AVAPOW 6,000 amp jump starter, check out the link in the description, pin comment. I was gonna say, I went to Napa the first time for their big belts. That was the only place I could find them. I went to Napa for the small belt and they gave me this lawnmower belt. They're like, you want the receipt? I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go return it at the other store. I ended up finding the right size belt, some weird brand Armor Mark. I don't know who makes that. The AutoZone belt I wanted to use is like just a little too big, I think. So I'm gonna use that Armor Mark belt. It's new though, it's nice and new. It's way thicker than this lawnmower belt. I'm not sure that might work. I'm not doing that though. I did have to disconnect the fan clutch just to get it out though. Not for the reason you think, like, oh yeah, you can wrap it around the fan blades if it's just big enough and get it out. But there was no space here between the pulleys to get the belt out. I had to actually move this pulley to get the belt out. That's why. So a little bit more work than I was hoping to replace the belts. And that was the only one I didn't replace last time, that smaller alternator belt. Looking at it closer, I should have. I didn't realize how dry rotted it was when I was looking at it in there. I must have been looking at the good side. Okay, I just got all the belts into place. The alternator's still not in there. Should be in this box. Looks good. Couldn't find any at any parts store. I did thought I found one. I even ordered it in from somewhere. Took a couple days and it showed up. And it was just like twice as big as it needed to be. It looked the same in the picture, but it was way too big. This thing's heavy. And this is the right one. Yep, there's the right one. A lot of different signal wires on the back, but those should all be remembering exactly where they're supposed to go. Alright, let me take this bracket off of here and then I'll meet back up with you when I get this alternator dropping in. Here's what I don't get though on these old trucks, cars, whatever. There's a weighted tension, a lot of the pulleys and stuff. I honestly think these might be my favorite, where you just put a wrench in and you crank it in one direction. Probably a close second to these types of tensioners though. Okay, so check. We've already used two different kinds, but almost always on an old vehicle, there's some random one where there's no traditional way to tension it and you have to use a pry bar. Bro, why do you have to use a pry bar to tension stuff? That does not make sense, especially when they already had the technology for manual tensioning on these old belts. Third place though, it's got to be a automatic tensioner, ribbed belt or something. But yeah, I'll tighten this up. Just always weird to me, like, why do I have to use a pry bar to tighten that? It doesn't make sense. Well, I already had it in and I had to take it back out because I forgot that the wiring harness right here has to be connected to the ground back there, and I just couldn't do it without taking it back out. I can't even get that nut off by hand. That would have been impossible either way. Try to. Tricky old cars. One of the first V-belts I ever tightened up on my own project when I was a teenager. Tightened it up way too tight, burned the belt off. So don't too tight. Okay, just got that cold idle turned down one turn. And it should be good to go. About 2 hours, that's what I was thinking, hour and a half, 2 hours at most, and it definitely took closer to 2. That should all be tight. Let's take her for a test spin. See how it runs. Gotta move my car out from behind it. And then I've got one more thing to do. Oh yeah, this old boat drives good, dude. This thing's nice. I'm gonna take it for a spin around the neighborhood, warm it up. That idle's perfect. It wasn't even a full turn, it was 270. I just called it a full turn. That was the perfect amount, no joke. See what it's got. Jeez, this thing is smooth, it's nice. Shift's great. Yeah. Yeah. Just going around the block. Wow. This is in great shape. This drives good. I'm telling you, the power steering, immaculate. I could turn this thing with like a pinky toe. Not even a finger, dude. Just cruising down the road. Look at this. Oh, yeah. All right, well, that third appointment, which was just to figure out why the ABS light, not the ABS, the airbag light is on. I don't like figuring out either of those. I just like checking engine lights. But I was gonna do it anyways, just for some neighbors. They haven't responded. I was also gonna say, I forgot I I tested for voltage on that starter relay. It's not getting voltage, so I think I'll probably end up sending that to the dealership. Yeah, if it was a Volkswagen or an Audi, like maybe I'd try and dig into it a little, but being a Mercedes-Benz with some communications errors, I think, yeah, it's probably best for the dealership. Let me know what you think, but that might be it for this episode. If so, see you on the next episode. Make sure you subscribe and I'll keep making more. Pretty busy, a little over half a day.